Hi, welcome to part 2 just like I promised. Part 1 is the first link in this description, so check it out if you want to know how to make a cool sequel. Go click it, it's a pretty good video. So last time we talked about how Tomoko Love Story salvaged the relatively lackluster Tomoko market and made it into pretty much a masterpiece. Now that's fine and dandy, but what happens when you take something that is already at that level of mastery and destroy it? Unfortunately, that's what happened with Madoka Magica. Puella Magi Madoka Magica, or Maho Shoujo Madoka Magica if you're Japanese, is an anime that is very close to my heart. It was the first anime I had ever given a 10 out of 10, and there is a very good reason for that. It was my introduction to Studio Shaft that houses Akiyuki Shimba, one of my favorite directors who directed another one of my favorites, Bakemonogatari. It also was a genuinely fascinating anime with its interesting characters that start out innocent and become corrupted beyond saving with the awesome plot twists. I would later realize this would be an integral part of Gen Urobuchi's writing style. The characters' fate was sealed by contract and their demise as magical girls was part of it. Similarly, this is what also happened with this franchise. In 2011, Madoka was a massive hit. People weren't expecting what the show was going to be back then, and it shocked them so hard that it became a genre-defining classic. The show was so big that people expected more, so they made movie remakes. But then, in 2013, they made a sequel movie. A weird fanservice-y movie that was a bit of a disappointment for some. AKA me. And now we're here today, 4 years late to the party like all of my videos, and we're going to bitch about it. Well, not exactly, because I actually like this movie. It was just a major letdown in my opinion. By the way, if you haven't watched Madoka, do yourself a favor and do that. That includes this movie, so you have context to what I'm saying here, and it's really good too, duh. At the end of the TV series, the final couple minutes of the show introduced us to what it is like in the new rewritten universe that Madoka created. Homura was in the middle of a wasteland fighting the Wraiths, marching at them like a badass as always. When I first watched this, I already knew that there was going to be a sequel movie, and I was excited. A movie that continues the story of this fresh, new universe that still has tricks up its sleeves, and Homura, my favorite character in the show, is the main character. I couldn't wait! However, the way the screen was engulfed in trippy shit and all the characters showing up was probably a warning sign of what was to come. Within the first couple minutes of the film, everyone's alive. Mami, Sayaka, Kyoko have all been risen from the dead, and everything is trippy as well, which confirms all of my suspicions. Now, you can argue that it's an alternative universe, but I have a feeling that there were other motives for this film to be like this. One of those methods is to have a lot of fan service, whether you are a Madoka or just a Shaft fan in general. There is so much Yuri that it becomes a bit excessive. The physical bonds between Homura and Madoka make sense because of Homura's weird obsession with Madoka, but the stuff going on with Sayaka and Kyoko never ceases to amaze me. They had the fucking nerve to have a scene where Sayaka tells Kyoko that she misses her. What the fuck? I remember the show, they hated each other because they were in the middle of a turf war. They had to fight to survive, and their headstrong personalities would make their chemistry weak, but hey, what do I know, I'm a friendless loser. Help! I'm trapped in this endless void of oranges. I am the only sentient one here. Please help me. I need to escape this mess. It doesn't stop there. The witch who chomped Mommy's head off is her companion. Again, different universe, but I find this hilariously ironic, and it wasn't necessary. Bebe is very annoying, and the plot of the film would not be affected if she wasn't there. Can you just shut the fuck up about the cheese for one goddamn minute? The only purpose for her being here is to add another character and to evoke Mommy into this admittedly amazing fight scene between her and Homura. The mere inclusion of Bebe is fanservice because the episode where she bites Mommy's head off is so iconic that they just had to put her in the film. Even if you're a Shaft fan, you can see how hard they were trying to impress you. The backgrounds are gorgeous in the fact that they look unique with interesting set pieces and are eerily vacant of any life aside from the characters speaking in them. I've always been fond of this type of thing from Shaft, and I'm glad they did this. They also brought back the photos with the stop motion, which is nice, but the one thing that really grinds my gears about all the Shaft stuff is the head tilts. Like, there are probably a dozen of them. That is a lethal density, you may want to get that removed. I feel like Shimbo and the crew thought, What's the thing that makes a shaft? Interesting backgrounds? Lip fetishes? Then one guy was like, head tilts. That guy got a promotion and he got to hand select every placement of the famous head tilts, including the most severe of them all. It gets to the point where it seems like it's parodying itself because holy shit, it's ridiculous. I hate this way of milking these minor elements of a show. All the shipping of the characters in the Shaft memes weren't what made this show so great. Rather, this is a more hollow interpretation of a crazed fan, and I always found it strange that the people who worked on this movie would cater to that audience. I wonder why no one thought that recreating Homura's solitary trail of torture would be interesting now that the world is in this apocalyptic state where loneliness is more present than ever. Depressing and evil themes are what drove the show for me and others, and continuing those narratives would have made a lot of sense and could have made a really great story. But I guess this is alright too. This whole time I've got this itching feeling. I just have to complain about this minuscule peeve I have. Who the fuck put Kyoko in a school uniform? Yeah, I know she goes to the school now because of the new universe, but why did they make this choice? I like the fact that she didn't go to the school because she was just hanging out, doing whatever she wanted, which is a big factor of her personality that made her likable. Plus, she had a different outfit in non-magical girl form, which breaks up the monotony of everyone being in the exact same goddamn uniform. Is that why Bebe has this weird humanoid form? To change up the designs? I mean, at least Ume Aoki got to do some designing again and an opportunity to insert her dojins into the film at various points. I think the film's biggest detriment is that it's flat out boring and repetitive. Yeah, you got your cool fight scenes, but it just seems too relaxed than what Madoka should be. After the opening, it's basically the first episode of the TV series except rings and that damned incubator. This takes like 5 minutes. Why do you have to make me sit through this again? In general, there are a lot of boring slice of life shenanigans in the first half and I don't want to watch. Am I watching Hidamari's sketch or Madoka? Choose one! Very few of the interesting themes of Madoka are here. The only one who becomes corrupted is Homura because she becomes the Antichrist to become closer to God, which is kind of hilariously ironic now that I think about it. It was really cool to see how Mami and Sayaka go down the road of insanity and lose their innocence during the TV series. It was especially awesome with Homura because the time loop turned her into a hardened badass. The themes of fate are still alive because the universe is still screwed beyond saving even when Madoka gets rid of all the witches. However, this isn't as interesting as the characters being signed into a contract that is impossible to cancel, eventually screwing them over sooner or later. I just enjoy seeing these optimistic 13-year-olds slowly build up hatred and horrible thoughts. You have an existential crisis while watching because in the end, no matter what anyone does, everyone is getting murdered. Am I weird? I think I'm a bit messed up myself. Actually, now that I think about it, this movie isn't as smart as the TV show. Every time Kyubey revealed something in the TV series, it totally came out of left field and blew my mind every time. I wouldn't have expected the life gems to attach their souls onto magical girls, or that every single magical girl will become a witch one day. In the movie, once Homura figured out a witch was the one causing everything, and the fact that Madoka is in human form, it was pretty easy to figure out what was going to happen. Homura's infatuation with Madoka was a dead giveaway. There's also the opening where everyone is blissfully having fun while Homura is in a world of despair. I mean, to be fair, no one wants to be in that wasteland with just Kyoko, Mami, Hitomi, Kyosuke, and their teacher. How are their clothes still intact in this desert? There's also the crutch of new universe, new rules, which is a pretty lame excuse that I keep repeating because I can't really explain these plot holes with anything else. I'm not sure what the writers had really thought. It's almost as bad as saying your explanation is because reasons. It isn't creative or clever and I just get bored thinking about it. After all the shit this movie has to offer, there is still stuff that is likable and it makes it worth your time. The backgrounds are nice, like I said previously, the action scenes were more impressive than any in the show, and the part at the end is actually really good. Homura becomes a monster, quite literally here. The obsession gets to her and she becomes a demon just to keep Madoka in this form. This is the theme of corruption I was talking about before. She legitimately wanted to protect Madoka from the horrible fate of being a magical girl, but now she's keeping her as a caged animal in this new universe. Also, it's badass that she becomes an overpowered, menacing demon whose attitude was a callback to how she acted in the show, but with a whole lot of evil in her motivations. It was the uprising of a villain that never really had a chance to duke it out with a hero. Madoka was still a god even in the new universe, and Homer wanted to suppress this. They were setting up this epic rivalry, and as of 2018, there is no conclusive installment to the end of the franchise. I haven't read any of the manga, but I don't think that it would have as much as an impact as the anime. Come on, Shaft, you pretty much adapted all of the Monogatari franchise, but you just can't make one more movie for Madoka? I'm not even asking for a TV series. I would sell my soul like one of the magical girls in the show for that. Overall, this movie was a massive disappointment to me and other people from its lackluster writing compared to the TV series to the unneeded fan service. Again, I did like this movie and found it enjoyable, but unfortunately it did not live up to my undying love of Puella, Magi, Madoka, Magica. This is the conclusion to this series. I hope you had fun because I always find it interesting when I see a sequel and I obsess over rationalizing what makes it better or worse than its predecessor. Maybe you watched the series because you have a similar interest as myself, and I thank you for watching the video. Means a lot. And if you want to be thanked even more, you can share this video with anyone who may like it and subscribe for new videos. Some more videos are down there, so click those if you're interested. If you're one of those jerks who didn't watch part 1, it's down there. Again, I do this so you don't have to. That's all for now, so once again, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.